if they're a borrower, or if something in the industry happens and they want to quickly swap into a different protocol. That's what this tooling does. So it helps people create safer DeFi positions. Especially if you're not a real finance person and maybe you don't really understand a lot of all this stuff in the DeFi space. Sometimes you need this sort of tooling to help you, I guess, digest and understand that, hey, okay, I can move between these instruments, or these moves will be favorable for whatever reason. And then something that's I think this is a great project and a crazy idea as well. 88 miles per hour. So what they created was a way to get upfront fixed rate interest on your loans. Sorry, on your borrowers. Borrowers, no, loans. So what that means is essentially generally when you deposit money into a lending protocol like AAVE, you have to wait. Let's say the APY, the interest rate is, I don't know, 3%. All right. So it's 3% based on an annual interest rate. So that means you have to wait one whole year to get that 3%. What 88 miles per hour do is they allow you to get that interest rate up front. Of course, they have their calculations, whatever else, so they don't give you the whole 3%, but they calculate. They say, okay, you want to swap a potentially high but volatile interest rate with something up front, and you're okay with taking a slightly lower interest rate. So they'll just give you that interest rate. So that's pretty magical, and for me, it's like a crazy idea. But I think tooling like that also gives more options to users. So some people might want to take the fixed interest rate because they need that interest money now because maybe they have bills to pay or something to fix in the house or whatever else. And I think that's really valuable and useful to users that maybe don't want or can't wait for another year to receive that interest. All right, just looking through the questions again. From Archil, is it possible to liquidate AAVE loan using AAVE Flash Loan? So at the moment, that's not. So in version 1 of AAVE protocol, when we built Flash loans, we decided to not allow that. So then, because Flash loans were very new at that time, and we didn't want people to potentially, we wanted to essentially minimize the attack surface because Flash loans are so new. And so at the moment, that's not possible. You only can use AAVE Flash loans with other protocols due to the re-entrancy protections that we have in the contracts. Okay, Ivan with another question. If you just pay with borrowed money in some shop, for example, transaction will not proceed until they don't give money back. Ivan, so actually, so I won't go too much into. I think Ivan, what you're trying to understand is sort of the flash loan concept. It can be a bit difficult to understand. I'd say that it's a bit hard to give an example with shops and things like that because there's no real analogy to that. But one analogy that I've given previously was it's like if you go to a bank and you ask the bank for a loan. The bank gives you a loan but says, hey, I'll give you this money, but before you leave the bank, you have to pay it back, right? And if you try and sneak out of the bank and run away with the money, basically you're brought back in time before you were even entered the bank. So it's like a magical, strange world like that. And as long as you pay back the money before you leave the bank, and then everything's good. And if you make profits during that time inside the bank, their profits are for you to keep. But if you don't make profits and you can't pay it back for whatever reason, then everything just goes back in time, like you didn't borrow the money. All right, but good questions. Keep the questions going, everyone. And then some other money logo type projects. Just quickly is so we've got Debt Exchange. So they're similar to both DeFi Saver and Collateral Swap in that you can swap debt and collateral on Compound. Which is another lending profile, another lending protocol. We have Blazer, which is similar to 88 miles per hour. They also do fixed rate lending and borrowing and some other things that they're working on, which is pretty cool. Jelly Swap, they have cross-chain atomic swaps and deposits. So essentially what you can do is you can use, if you have Bitcoin, you can do an atomic swap and then deposit and earn sort of all the interest rates and do all the magical money Lego things on Ethereum with your Bitcoin. And then for a combo, I mentioned before that flash loans are targeted towards developers generally because you need to create a smart contract. So for a combo is one of the apps that have created an interface for non-developers to be able to use flash loans. Essentially, it's like a bunch of Lego pieces, and you drag these pieces together. Then you say, hey, like, flash loan this amount, and go to this exchange or do X, Y, Z. So that I think that's good for a consumer perspective. If you want to take on arbitrage trades or do certain things like that. But if you're building like a project or a product or something like that, I think you definitely need a developer to help you build that. Then of course here are some resources as well. I think we'll share these slides with everyone later on. Yeah, feel free to join our Discord. It's quite active, our community. There's a developer channel as well if you're a developer, or also there's an ideas channel and you can just talk about AAVE and get ideas in general. Our documentation is pretty good. Then also we have this hack ideas page that I created as well, which has some general ideas if you want to have a look at that. Then of course Stani, who's CEO founder, he's always full of ideas and posting them on Twitter as well. And some of them sort of just blow my mind. So have a check out that if you're looking for some pretty crazy ideas. Then of course we have these other links. So that's all I had for the presentation. We can open it up for more questions if you want, or if you want to. Can we unmute people, or what's?
Yes,
what
just give me a second.
Sure.
We will. Yeah. If
I'm keen to hear what everyone's like interested in working on, or if you have an idea already, like what you want to work on and things like that.
All right, everybody's unmuted. So if you have any background noise, we ask you to mute your microphone if you're not talking. So yeah, please feel free to ask your questions to David directly. Do you have any questions and unanswered questions in the chat?
Okay, David.
Yep.
As I understood, flash loans might be used only for some speculations. Yes?
No, not necessarily. So they can be used for speculation in arbitrage, but tools like DeFi Saver, Collateral Swap, and Dedge use them to swap positions, right? Which isn't speculation. It's more about optimizing interest rates, so optimizing financial positions for people.
Okay, but it is for trading, of course.
No. So let's say if you're optimizing interest rates, that's not necessarily for trading. It's so you can get a better deal. It's like you go to a bank and your bank, its interest rate is really high on your mortgage, but then there's another bank that's giving you a much better interest rate, right? You'd swap to the other bank probably, right? So that's not really speculation. That's not trading. That's like you're just, it makes more financial sense for you because you'll save money if you go to this better bank, right? So that's what I mean.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right. Good questions. Anyone else?
I have a question regarding the implementation I'm thinking about not only, I'm thinking about the regular person like who would actually benefit from these loans and who don't have the power to have much leverage to negotiate for a better rate. So I'm thinking about the actual implementation of this in countries such as Mexico. How would you apply your loan into the financial system? How do you connect to the real life?
Sure.
Once in, or is it only a certain segmentation of the population, or what's your vision there?
I mean, yeah, so I mean, there's a few aspects to that question. So the first thing is that, let's say the connection between the real world and let's say the crypto world, there's still like, that's not great at the moment. There's wallets like Argent and some other wallets that allow you to easily do that in certain countries. But still you need to have, let's say crypto money, like you need to have ETH or Bitcoin or DAI or some crypto assets first before you can take out DeFi loans and things like that. So that's a problem or an opportunity maybe for you to work on, is how do you more easily get people in Mexico to you know, bring their pesos into the DeFi system, right? So that's one thing. The other thing is sometimes banks in the real world, they might have good interest rates, right? But then other times the DeFi space, the protocols may have much better interest rates, right? So then that's an opportunity as well for consumers to be able to choose and be like, okay, if I have a certain amount of savings, maybe it's better for me now to put some of those savings into DeFi space. So I think that's one way to look at it as well that you can do. And then the other thing about this is to look at that there's opportunities in the DeFi space around borrowing and lending money that can help these users. So you can also build projects around that to encourage them to bring their money into the system so that they can gain that interest rate or have more security in their funds. I know countries like, let's say Argentina, the inflation rate is often out of the roof. And so sometimes it might be easier for them to go into a stable coin like DAI or USDC or something like that. So yeah, so there are a few things. Then you can get into the really advanced concepts that some people have also worked on, not necessarily in like Latin America, but where people have worked on concepts where they pool money of depositors. So let's say I only have $100, so the interest on $100 isn't that much. But then other people, if we get 100 people putting $100 each, then that pool of money is quite a lot. And the interest you earn on that, is a lot higher than if it was just myself. So products or companies like Pool Together or these other companies, they've created these products. Pool Together is like they call it a lossless lottery. So what they do is people buy these lottery tickets, right? And it goes into this pool, lending pool. And then each certain amount of time, every week, every month, the interest that's earned on that pool of money is given to one random person, right? For everyone else, they get their money back, right? So no one loses any money. It's just that you're using the power of these pooled funds to earn this interest, and then that interest goes to someone, right? So they did it like, if that's a lottery random way, maybe there's like, I'm sure there's other ways you can do it where it's maybe people taking turns, or it's something else where you can take advantage of these pooled funds in the DeFi space. So that, yeah, that's something I would, yeah, get you to look into. Does that help with sort of your thinking and then your question?
So what I was thinking is that in a country like Mexico today, this ecosystem, alternative ecosystem, will be really attractive to someone, because right now, let's say the political and economical conditions are not properly optimum here in Mexico. So there's a lot of money in US dollars or other currencies that will be looking for to pull that out of the country. I'm thinking my personal assets, for instance.
Yeah.
So to some degree, I mean, we use common or legalized kind of solutions such as Bitso, which is fairly common and well established here in Mexico. But I'm not sure, this is just for trading, but you're talking about the financial system where how do you check and balance your own reputation? Are you lending what you're lending? So you're talking about this alternative market of lending, borrowing, and I think that's very interesting, particularly. I mean, it's just interesting. It's complex. It's in terms of like the real citizens, who do you borrow for? How do you make the market? And so I'm thinking about grounding applications, because I'm thinking in Mexico, it would be quite appealing to think about this alternative application so that people can actually find that an easy alternative to manage assets, or at least alleviate the uncertainty we currently have.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not sure. I'm not really well versed in the ecosystem in Mexico or Latin America at the moment. But generally for other countries, they might use platforms like Bitso to get the fiat money, the government money into crypto money, like transfer it into Bitcoin and ETH. And sometimes I might use those platforms, but not use it as trading. Once they have it as Bitcoin or ETH, then they can withdraw it into their own crypto wallet. Right, and then once they have it in their own crypto wallet, then they can take advantage of all these alternate crypto systems like AAVE. And then just on the comment on sort of AAVE and how we work out sort of our alternate system, the markets and things like that. So I mean, AAVE we released in January actually, but the reason why people trust our platform and protocol is firstly, it's all open source. The code's all there. You can verify it. You can look at it. You know, anyone can see, you know, exactly what's happening with their money. And we've built quite a lot of trust in the community. Currently, we have $70 million. You can see here deposited in the protocol across all these assets. So you can see all these different types of assets. So the thing is, in the crypto space, everything moves quite quickly. And for people to get access to protocols like AAVE, they need to first, I guess, convert their fiat into the crypto system. So that's like in Latin America, that's probably maybe an opportunity, you know, whether it's helping people go from something like Bitso to a MetaMask wallet or some other Ethereum wallet. How do they secure that? How do they make sure, you know, it's not stolen and things like that? But I think once they have that, then they can enter all these alternate markets and all these, you know, this alternate financial system quite easily.
I would be happy to collaborate in terms of creating the culture or the communication mechanism, because I don't think the big capitals or even normal people here in Mexico are very versed. So we will need to, I mean, I will be happy to collaborate in that regard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of opportunities in like all over the world, besides Latin America, in like just education, you know, of like, you know, how do people use crypto, or how do they keep it safe? Why would they want to use crypto, right? And things like this, where you can earn a better interest rate than your bank. You know, instead of inflation, government money inflation, you can put it in something like DAI or USD coin. You know, there's all these different flavors of sort of USD coin, right? So you can choose, you have a whole selection of diversifying to different USD pegged assets. That's a cool, really good question and comment. So yeah, hit me up, let me know what you're working on. I look forward to seeing what you do. Natalia, that was a good question. Anyone else with any questions or comments? Or anything you want to say about your project or things like that?
This is a question come from Monique. Monique, if you would like to unmute your microphone, if you have a decent connection, maybe you can ask this question.
Hi, thanks. I was just wondering about the security features. I've gone through the white paper, but I hadn't had a chance to really read the full thing, so I kind of glanced through. Mm-hmm. I am a little bit new to DeFi, but I'm in the process of building a game that's going to be teaching people stuff like this, so it might actually address some of what Natalia is talking about. Mm-hmm. And I'm very interested in being able to discuss with people what the security is, so when they say, oh, I don't want to get robbed from the blockchain, mm-hmm. When we're especially speaking with people who don't know things about crypto.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, so as this is, there's a few sides of the coin for these sorts of questions. So on one side, you know, if you're talking to very like, let's say, non-technical, non-blockchain people, and then then you got to go over the real basics of like wallets and private keys, or maybe not even private keys, but you know what certain wallets to use and not to use, and how to secure your funds, and the difference between that and a traditional bank. And that's a lot of education. That's probably a lot of hand holding and things like that as well. For people that are maybe a bit more comfortable with alternative assets, and maybe they bought some Bitcoin or something like that, they can, and they're looking into more like technical security, then also there's a whole nother world around, you know, securing your computer, securing your keys, securing your wallet, you being able to use certain wallets, which ones are trustworthy and things like that. And then on the even more technical side, on AAVE specifically, we have like security audits and things like that that you can look at. So, you know, if you really want to dive really deep into the protocol and, you know, why it's safe or who's looked at it and things like that, yeah, we have our security audits on GitHub and on our website as well that you can look into. And we have security bounties and things like that. So yeah, so that's a very wide, it's a very wide problem, right? So I'd say there's like, maybe for this hackathon, or when you guys are ideating on what to work on, you know, think about like what chunk of that problem would you want to start with? And also I think it depends on your market as well, right? So some of it might be really, really basic, like, you know, how do people get an Ethereum wallet on their phone, and how do they secure that, or on their computer? Then on the other side, it's like, okay, why should I, you know, use AAVE, or why should I use this other platform? You know, how can I check that these platforms are secure or trustworthy? So yeah, so it's a very wide, it's a wide opportunity space, I would say.
Thank you, David.
My pleasure. Any other questions or comments that people have?
Yeah, hello, David. My name is Juliana. Just quick question. You know,
Yep.
You are doing a cool job because you provide liquidity, flexibly provide liquidity to reduce volatility, like dynamic optimizer, really, between protocols and crypto. Mm-hmm. I'd like to ask, because I see the huge, I'm from financial markets, so I can see huge ability to construct things like re-rate, interest rate, you said incomes matching, and all other derivatives will be are not limited to develop on the top. But however, probably you see some limitation to wider your field of market, but it's not market, it's like mix of bank and exchange. We can describe you. So that's always have some limitation because of system not developed as much. Do you see, and how you able to solve that, if you have thinking about it?
Yeah. So do you mean from I think from what I understand of the question, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're talking about, you know, there's a lot of opportunities in the I guess DeFi space and things like that, but there's still the problem of onboarding people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I mean, yeah. So the onboarding, I think that's a huge opportunity space. Depends. It really depends a lot on your market, I think. And like I said before, you know, there's always the big friction issue of, you know, how do you get your government money, like your paycheck that's paid in fiat?
Yeah,
how do you get that into the system?
Yeah, global problem. So, but maybe there are some intermediate decision to help scaling this transaction connection opportunity wider. So yeah, I know a difficult question. That's not easy to answer, but
yeah, it's a good question, and it definitely is difficult. And I think a lot of companies are working on this problem. You know, you can do the full like legal regulated route, like, you know, Facebook Libra was trying to do. You know, places like Coinbase, you know, they're like going that way. You know, that's very expensive, very long, very slow, but it's probably one of the best ways to go about it. But if you're a small scale project and you're testing, it might not be viable to go down that route. So I mean, there's other routes you could go. Not that I don't recommend it, but there was something like back in the day, local Bitcoins, and that was essentially like peer-to-peer. So someone would have Bitcoin and someone would have cash. Then you'd meet on the street, and then you'd swap your Bitcoins for cash. There's a lot of issues with that, both like regulatory, legal issues, AML, KYC. Also just general security issues. I know some people got robbed and things like that using those services. So that's sort of the gap, the huge gap between it, and there's many different in-between steps as well that you can take. So depending on your community, right? I can imagine, let's say if let's say my brothers or my family members, they want to get some Ethereum or Bitcoin, but they're not very technical, right? So one way is if they trust me and I trust them, then we could do an exchange, right? Then it wouldn't go necessarily through, these other regulatory or these other companies. So that, I think that's one alternative way, and I think that's happening out in the world as well. But that's based on trust, right? So if you have it's a very high trust.
That's everybody questions how to encode trust systematically. Okay, yeah, great, thank you.
Yeah, that's right. I know that there was some projects a long time ago around people trying to create that sort of trust network as well, where everyone might start from like zero trust, and then as as your reputation increases, then you get more of a trust score. So those are also opportunities that you could probably investigate as well.
Thank you.
That's right. Cool. How are we doing for time?
So we usually have like 15 minutes left for the presentations, because people also use these workshops to pitch their ideas. So if you guys have anything to pitch, please let me know. For those of you who are here, also please put your Discord ID in the chat so we could account for the voting power to reward you for attending this workshop. And a reminder as well that AAVE is our sponsor, put forward a $2,000 award for those who develop their projects on decentralized finance using AAVE. And that's what David was talking about today. So if you have still any questions for David, you can still ask them. If you're ready to present, please raise your hand or just unmute your microphone and start presenting your idea.
Okay, last stupid questions, David.
There's no stupid questions.
There's no stupid questions, I agree.
Okay. About a case with over collateralized loan, yes? It seems why I should borrow some money if I already have money. Okay.
Yep. That's a good question. So generally in the traditional financial world, or let's call it the let's say middle class and up world, generally the way people create wealth is by leveraging assets that they have, right? So that would be one reason why you would borrow money using money as collateral. So let's say you have $100 and you deposit that $100 into a bank. Now the bank will let you borrow $50, right? So then now you can use that $50 for something else, and maybe it helps you, invest in your business and whatever else, and grow your business. And then therefore now you've like created more value in the world, right? But you still have that $100 deposited that's used as collateral, right? So later on you get $100 back. So net, you only had $100, but then you could essentially have access to more resources. And generally that would be one of the reasons why you would want to deposit. Another reason would be that you don't have to borrow money when you deposit in the DeFi space. So you can deposit just because you want to earn interest as well. Because maybe you have $100 there and it's not doing anything. you know, the Federal Reserve is just printing more money, so your $100 is actually reducing in value. So then maybe you want to earn interest on that $100 by depositing it in a protocol like AAVE, so then it can grow over time. Does that answer the question, Ivan?
Basically.
Cool.
And Dave, one more question. You mentioned that 70 million, that's a, let's say, bank of users. However, could you tell if it's open information what is turnover to understand your liquidity scale?
You mean like the utilization? Is that what you mean by turnover?
Yeah, by day or monthly.
Yes, so you can, I mean, you know, because it's a blockchain, everything's open source. Also, our data is all open as well. So as a technical person, or if you have a developer, they can always extract that data on our website directly. Hopefully, you can see it on the screen here. You can see current market size 70 million, and then here you can see the liquidity borrowed and things like that. So here, if you take the borrowed amount, take away liquidity, yeah, then you can see that's how much is not being utilized or how much is being utilized. And then, you know, depending if you set up your own software, you know, you could probably get that data of, you know, how much is being used per month and velocity of the money and whatever else. So that's definitely something you could do.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. Any more questions? Do you have anyone ready to present their ideas? Because I know that I received some messages on Discord asking me for the time to present. So that would be your time. If you're here, please do so.
Who wants to present?
Hi, can I quickly present?
Yeah, go for it.
Yes, please. Go ahead, Natalia. Thank you so much, David. Thank you so much for this excellent presentation. Yes, and we will see David again. So we're going to schedule another workshop with him if you guys have more questions. It will be in about a week from now when we get closer to the hackathon end. And yeah, if you have any questions and you are working towards this award, so we will have another chance with David.
Okay. Excellent.
Thank you so much,
thanks.
David.
That's right.
Okay, go ahead, Natalia.
Thank you. So very, very quickly, I am locally leading in Mexico an initiative that is called Poderosa Emprendedora. It's an initiative targeting women's businesses. And basically, we're a small community of 100 businesses, and we're in 14 cities in Mexico. So the trouble that we have here is that altogether we have the potential to actually create our own marketplace, but at the same time, we don't want to only be a marketplace, but we want to support I would say the women who make money through social selling. So unfortunately, we are not quite yet ready in Mexico to jump from B2C, and there are a lot of successful businesses that rely on social selling, such as doTERRA, such as Avon, Mary Kay, or other firms. And the thing is that this provides particularly an income opportunity for women who are vulnerable and cannot create their own product, but they rely on these transactions to generate an additional source of income. So in Poderosa Emprendedora, we also have an academy because we believe in the reskilling and the upskilling of these women. But we do know that for some reason, there's a good timing, especially when they have children and they don't have much possibility for other actions or a support network, they rely on social selling. Now we've joined with Vendito, this initiative, to actually create a platform that would be easy for these businesses and more businesses to actually join their products to for a somehow pre-validations, because we need to validate sometimes the quality, sometimes the origin, like we need to validate. There's a trust. Mexico is one of the countries that where trust is something that is not easily given or granted. It's something that you actually have to work. We're not a trusting country. So what we want is to have support to create a technological tool for us to validate, create the income of the marketplace of the potential products, but to validate the transactions that occur between the social sellers and the transactions between the producers. So I would say in Vendito, we have been talking about the different processes that will help us create an efficient market and to track down, but we are in the hunt for minds and talented people who can help us create the application and the experience for our audience to actually be able to operate. And we don't know, since we're dealing with different types of I would say literacy in terms of businesses, we think it's highly important to develop something that's intuitive, has some gamification, and so that we can track the transactions. So here, these are producers, either of services or products. And then we need to connect with the actual social sellers and to create a platform that will help us generate this ecosystem. So today, as of in the Vendito platform, we are looking for, again, these minds. We do have a source of real business that had been very challenged because of the COVID, and they're there and they're actually looking to connect. Now, right now, we are working through Facebook, and we do want an alternative. Facebook has imposed some regulation and some, let's say, especially with some of the products that are here in our base, such as antibacterial or some other products. So what we actually want to do is support the real ecosystem. So I think it's a fairly simple project. We have a community already built, and for us, we come here, we have a way to organize ourselves, and I think our challenge is to have the brain power and the talent in the digital world to actually make our operation more effective and scalable. I think we've been, our technical skills are fairly limited, but we are in the hunt for that talent that will help us create this user experience for people to upload their product, for a certain validation to occur, to recruit the social sellers, and something that will create a little bit of like trust and transparency in the transactions that happen here, so that we could pay both the producer, we can pay the social seller, and we can generate performance indicators and actually support with not only with the social selling, but an economy of services, because we know that people can create transactions creating videos or photographies for professional product presentation. So those are the things that we look forward to see if we can solve, and trying to create, to level the playing field for someone who is selling at home with very little skills, no, I would say, no marketing skills to create their own logo. So we actually want to create this ecosystem so that it will be easier for everyone in the community to have a fair chance. So up until now, this is what it's about, Poderosa Emprendedora, our challenge for this hackathon.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Natalia. Yes, if any of the developers hear that, can you please find Natalia on our Discord? Her channel is Vendito, and you can find it under team channel Vendito. So she's looking for developers to help her develop this platform. If you have any other presentations, guys, please unmute your microphone, start presenting. Just a reminder, we would like to limit all presentations for 2 minutes, so please be mindful of the time of others. You can do so now. You can also post something in the chat, and don't forget to post in the chat your IDs from Discord so we can add the power to you. Also reminder, tomorrow we have a very important presentation at the same time as today. It's going to be an opening ceremony where we have stated all the rules and how to submit your hack, and we announce all the prizes that we will have for this hackathon. We also bring Angela Chan, so she is the CEO of Hackathons International, with a great presentation on actually how to build and manage your hackathon team effectively in order. So probably, Natalia, maybe it's going to be also very useful for you to understand who has to be in this team to succeed, and everybody else, not only Natalia, but because Natalia is looking for the members right now. Yes, so please attend tomorrow. The messaging will be in Discord. You also should have received invitation from our Google account. If you haven't received an invitation, please check your spam folder, because yes, so we have this common problem that invitation might go to the spam folder. Please check. And it also, this opening ceremony will be repeated for Asia Pacific at 7 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow as well, but not, unfortunately, just in a very limited format without the excellent presentation about hacking teams. We also have presentations for our whole weekend planned, and you should have received email about all these presentations, so please attend them and stay connected. All right, so do we have anyone to present still? We're at the limit time of our meeting. Let me know if you can, if you would like to present. All right, I don't see anyone wanting to present. So thank you so much. I thank you guys for your time, and thank you, David, for the excellent presentation. We're going to bring him again in a week's time. Happy hacking, and I will see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.